welcome to Boxing in Your Face. My name is Joe Cortez, and I'm here with my great friend from back in the 60s when we used to box together in the Golden Gloves, Eddie Small.
Hello, Joe. How you doing?
Eddie, can you tell us a little bit about your background now as a fighter back in the 60s and what has been happening throughout the years? Tell me a little bit about yourself. You started boxing in 1960.
Right. I fought in the Golden Gloves in 1962 when you were already a champ, intercity champ.
Okay.
I unfortunately only got to the semifinals. The following year, the Daily News went on strike. They canceled the Golden Gloves. So, being the way it was, I turned pro.
Now, at what weight did you turn pro?
I was a light welterweight. I was 142.
142, okay, great. Now, you know, back in the days when you and I used to train up at Mount Carmel, CYO, I'm from the Boys Club, and being a product of the Boys Club along with my brother Mike. Mike was lightweight, I was a bantamweight, and we used to spar, you and I, up in the Mount Carmel CYO gym. We had Charlie Caserta, who was the lead trainer there. As a matter of fact, he was the head coach for the intercity team when we fought in Chicago for the Nationals. Right. Now, we had also a gentleman by the name of Larry Palminteri,
right.
Which is Chas Palminteri, the actor, for the Bronx Tale that was filmed in your neighborhood.
That's right. Yeah, he was the announcer for the fights.
Yeah, Larry Palminteri. That's Chas Palminteri, the actor. His father was a bus driver, and the movie The Bronx Tale was really a whole story of Larry's life in the Bronx.
That's right.
You know, so we go back. Matter of fact, the other day I ran into Chas Palminteri here in Las Vegas when he was with his show, The Bronx Tale. I mean, he's unbelievable. He does the whole show all by himself. He does every character in The Bronx Tale by himself on the stage here in Las Vegas. And I was so impressed watching that show. But one of the things that I don't think you know about is one day Chas Palminteri calls me and says, "Joe, can you come up to New York to my mom and dad's 50th anniversary?" It was held up in the Bronx, the anniversary party. I said, "Sure." It was an honor. So I flew up to New York. When I get there, Chas Palminteri and Robert De Niro were waiting for me, and we sat together. The three of us sat together. All it was like a late afternoon reception for his mom and dad. And so when I ran into Chas Palminteri here recently, he told me, "Joe, you know, our dad passed away about 2 years ago." I started with him, but his mom, Rose, is still alive and doing pretty good. But going back to the days when you were and I training up at Mount Carmel, well, we had guys like Billy Bello, right, who was a welterweight, right, and Billy Bello fought the great Gaspar Ortega.
That's right. That's right.
He fought Gaspar Ortega in Madison Square Garden. Gaspar Ortega had 115 pro fights under his belt when he fought Billy Bello. Billy Bello was an up-and-coming prospect like ourselves. He was a welterweight, and unfortunately, something drastic happened to Billy Bello. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened to Billy Bello 2 weeks to the day after he fought Gaspar Ortega?
Well, the way I remember, he was hanging out at the candy store with us, and he took off. It was raining out. He took off, removed the paper stand, we found a package of heroin. Who knew what heroin was, you know? The next day, they found him in the hallway over by the gym. He overdosed.
He overdosed.
Or somebody OD'd him. Back then, he overdosed.
Yeah, I remember going to the funeral parlor with Gaspar and my brother Mike, and just to think that he fought Gaspar Ortega, lost a split decision to Gaspar Ortega at Madison Square Garden main event, and Billy Bello had about maybe
22 fights.
22 fights under his belt. So he was a rising star in the welterweight division, and boom, a big H got him.
Right, that's right.
And unfortunately, things like that happen. That's why I tell these young fighters out there, you know, be careful who you associate yourself with, because you end up with the wrong people. You get hooked up on drugs or whatever, and your career is cut short, and then the suffering, and everybody in his life, his whole family's life has changed forever. Their life will never be the same.
That's right.
You know. So tell me a little bit about how many pro fights did you get to have?
Well, I won 67 amateur fights. That includes junior, amateur, Golden Gloves. And I had 10 pro fights. Okay. I got only lost one fight. I got butt heads got my Madison Square Garden debut, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then back then they stopped it. You didn't matter who was ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I had an unfortunate circumstance, and I got retired for 4 years. I came back for 3 fights. I got cut up in the street. Got cut up when I came back, so I quit. My last fight was a draw. I had 2 knockout wins and a draw at the Felt Farm.
Now you fought Luis Rivera, right?
That's right.
Lightweight.
My very last fight.
He
was a welterweight.
Welterweight.
Yeah.
Luis Rivera fought Vito Fermo.
That's right. Afterwards.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, Luis Rivera turned out to be a top-notch referee in boxing in New York City and around the world. And today, he's still active, not as a referee, but as a boxing judge.
Yes, right.
You know?
I've seen his name. I haven't run into him.
Yeah. Luis Rivera, he still looks good. He's helping out the kids in Newark, New Jersey. He's working with the kids at RIS, or the program that I started with these kids in Newark. And him and the guy Robinson took over the amateur team. He called me last week to wish me Happy New Year. He said, Joe, you know, we already have gotten in the last year and a half 32 glove champions, silver glove, golden gloves, and whatnot. So they do pretty good with 32 champions.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
But so tell us, what is the most memorable moments of your boxing career?
Memorable.
Can you think about maybe fighting in Madison Square Garden?
Well, I just won my, back in August 1964, I had just won a 6-rounder of cup fighter Jackie out there. And they were going to write me up as the white Sugar Ray Robinson. 5 days later, somebody came and took care of that, so it didn't happen.
So some guy dumped you in the street and they stabbed you?
I got stabbed with a bread knife.
With a bread knife, unbelievable.
I don't know if I was set up. I don't know. It's a big story. The truth never came to surface. I hear a lot of fantasy stories. I don't pay them any mind. And I didn't get to talk about it until I met the writer, Ray Maradovic. He put a story on the internet about me. And that was the end of my dream. The comeback was because I just didn't want to retire because somebody hurt me in the street. I retired because I wanted to. Then I went to work in the jails in
New York.
In New York.
Okay,
yeah.
so now you worked as what, as a correction officer?
Yeah. Then I got promoted to captain. Then I retired. Now I'm out working at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Part-time security officer.
Okay, so you got to keep yourself a little busy. And
that's where. And then I met you again in Rocky VI.
In the Rocky VI movie, right?
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we've had great memories of our past because boxing was good for us. I think it got us on the right track.
Yeah.
I think boxing has taught us to be the people that we are today, you and I. So, we're just individuals now that learned a lot coming from the Bronx, and I'm from Manhattan. We fought in the globe basically around the same period of time.
We traveled the same together.
Right, and my brother
state.
Right, my brother Mike, they called Mike Golden Boy Cortez back in the 60s, and Mike had something like maybe 28, 29 pro fights, and he lost, I think, his last 4 or 5, and he packed it in. But we had a great run in boxing, and boxing was good for us. It definitely taught us a lot of confidence, self-esteem.
I'd definitely do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Boxing is good because it really develops. It makes you a better person. You learn how to handle yourself. The discipline that you get from boxing is really unbelievable. And that's what these kids need today. That's why I go around trying to talk to these kids at the schools, and some prisons. I go to talk to some of the prisoners about trying to do the right things. You make mistakes in life, no big deal. We come back and learn from your mistakes. And in life, that's what life is all about. And you got a second chance, and you go on, move on, and become a better person. I was lucky and fortunate never to get myself in any trouble, but growing up, I guess I have to thank the Boys Club of New York, and the great Gaspar Ortega, Charlie Caserta, Larry Palminteri, and Johnny Markel. Gaspar Ortega was really my mentor who got me started in boxing. And I speak to him every every week for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, just to see how he's doing. He's doing very well for you boxing fans out there. Remember the great Gaspar Ortega. Check him out on BoxRec, and you see his record. Gaspar Ortega had like 185 professional fights.
That's right.
And got stopped only twice. And that was against Emil Griffith for the welterweight title back in 1961. And he lost to Sandro Malsinghi, a TKO in Italy as well. But the only 2 fights he lost by stoppage, and that was because, you know, I think he was just had his better days behind him. He had, when he fought Emil Griffith, he had like 81 pro fights. He beat Benny Kid Paret. Benny Kid Paret was world champion, but it was a non-title fight. And Paret didn't want to give him a shot. Instead, Paret fought Emil Griffith, and you guys know that story where Paret ended up.
Yeah, I was there that night.
Got killed in the ring. Basically, he died a couple of days later at the Roosevelt Hospital in New York, and it was a shame because I remember going to that hospital room to visit Benny Kid Paret along with Gaspar Ortega and his beautiful wife Ida. We went there to you know, give Gaspar to give his respect, but he fought Benny Kid Paret twice, and it was an amazing night. I'll never forget when I went to visit Benny Kid Paret. He was all bandaged up in that bed.
Yeah.
He had a heart of a lion, and he refused to back off. And Emil Griffith just a relentless attack on him.
Yes, right.
Was stopped him. You know, Ruby Goldsey was a referee, and he stopped the fight, but it was a little too late. Yeah, he was already out and collapsed in a corner. That's why I told fighters, if you get in training and you get hurt in the gym, you know, your trainers. Last week I mentioned this as one of my New Year resolutions to the trainers, and please, you know, we should all try to work together hand in hand. If you get knocked out in the gym or you get hurt in the gym, you got a fight coming up, don't risk it because you can end up getting hurt permanently. We don't know what happened with Benny Kid Paret, but fighters, you know, you have to take care of yourselves and stay, try not to take too much punishment in the ring while sparring. Because a lot of fighters take a lot more punishment while training than they do at the fight.
That's right.
But they may come in as damaged goods to the fight because of the beatings they're taking in the gym.
That's right.
You know, so
Exactly.
we gotta be careful.
I remember Benny Kid Paret. He fought Gene Foreman.
Right.
Emil Griffith 3 times, all in a small period of time. It took a lot of, you know.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Gene Foreman stopped him.
Right.
Maybe a couple of months before he fought Emil Griffith.
That's right.
Then he fought Emil Griffith. He might have come in as damaged goods to that Griffith fight. Who knows?
Right.
You know, today we're more educated, and we're more strict with the fighters as far as getting their physicals, their CAT scans on a yearly basis, and all that has come today to where it's at because of what happened back in the old days.
Right.
And that was something that in 1961, when Benny Kid Paret got killed and from blows he took to the head, they wanted to ban boxing.
Right.
You know, and then so then they came up with different changes. Since then, they have cut down from 15 rounds to 12 rounds. The referee doesn't score anymore like we used to at the beginning of my career as a referee. Now they took the scoring away from us so we can concentrate more enforcing the rules, but first and foremost of the safety of the fighters, which I go along with that.
Right.
So now they have 3 judges.
Right, and the referee, but the referee don't score, right? You don't score.
We don't score anymore. We just watch out for the safety of the fighters and enforcing the rules. And but I think 2012 now is going to bring a lot of good things to boxing. I mentioned to you guys last week. I'm working on a project that'll be a pleasant surprise of what's going to be coming with the judging for the betterment of the sport. A lot of good things, and we'll talk about that later on. Eddie, anything you want to say in the closing minute here?
It's an honor to know you, Joe. It was an honor to meet you back in 1960, 61, and again in 2012.
Okay, take care, Eddie. Eddie Small from the Bronx, New York. Take care. Catch you next week.
Thanks.